there are a ton of games coming out this fall for the Xbox One, the PS4, the Nintendo Switch, and the PC, and I thought it would be a fun exercise to try to correctly guess or predict the Metacritic score for every single game coming out this holiday. What's going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And if you want to kind of partake in this with me, make sure you leave a comment below about what you think a game might get. You can do the entire full list like I do, or just one that is important to you. Now keep in mind, this isn't what I would give the game Metacritic wise. This is what I think the collective gaming industry media is going to give the game once all the reviews roll in on Metacritic. So if I rate your favorite game low, or a game that you hate too high, don't take it out on me, take it out on the gaming media. This is what I think they're going to give all the games coming out this fall, and there are a ton of them, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can. And we're going to go in chronological order, starting on September 4th with Destiny 2. That's right, Destiny 2. It has a big DLC, the first one coming out for Destiny 2, and it's going to be rated on Metacritic just like the original was. Now, I went and I kind of looked back, doing some research to see what the previous games were, to kind of get a sense of if it will be higher or lower. And Destiny is kind of a weird thing here. You have Destiny 1 sitting at a 76, a Destiny 2 sitting at 84, so people like Destiny 2 more, but they kind of left in droves after the initial kind of euphoria went away for the game. But Taken King was what I wanted to focus on because it was the first expansion for Destiny 1 and it was well liked, it was well received, got an 87 on Metacritic. And I actually think Forsaken's going to do better than that because I have a feeling Bungie might actually get it right. All my friends who are really into Destiny seem to be really hyped for this, and who knows, they might actually save Destiny if Destiny really needed saving, but that's why I'm going to say it's going to get an 88. Now moving on to September 7th, we have the big huge PlayStation exclusive for the fall, Spider-Man by Insomniac Games and Sony. And looking at Insomniac's previous work, Sunset Overdrive came at an 81 and Ratchet & Clank came in at an 85, both of their games from this generation. And you know what? I think this is going to be maybe potentially their highest rated game. I know some of the earlier Ratchet & Clanks were in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, but in my opinion, the gaming media is a little bit harder on games this gen than previously. And with that said, I'm going to give Spider-Man, I think it's going to come in right exactly at a 90. So that is my prediction for Spider-Man. September 14th, we have the launch of Shadow of the Tomb Raider from Eidos Montreal and Square Enix. It's not being done by Crystal Dynamics, and I don't really feel the hype for this game. A lot of the previews I've seen kind of come at it very negative, like, oh, another Lara Croft, and oh, she's darker. So I already get a sense that the media is kind of going to dogpile on this one. Rise of the Tomb Raider was an 86. I thought it actually was a little bit higher, but that's what it was. And I actually think Shadow of the Tomb Raider is going to come in at about an 82. Moving on to September 21st, we have Spyro, the Reignited Trilogy. I told you guys I was going to try to hit every game coming out this fall. Now, only thing I really did for this was I looked at Crash Bandicoot, the re-release, that came out on Xbox and PS4 last year, and Xbox and Switch this year, and that actually was surprisingly low at an 80 and a 79. And I don't think Spyro is as loved as Crash, so I'm going to say it's going to get a 78. September 27th, we have Life is Strange 2 from Dontnod, and Square Enix, I believe, is the publisher for this one. Now, the original Life is Strange got a 85, which is actually pretty high for these, Telltale-esque experiences. But Before the Storm got a 77. Now, keep in mind, Before the Storm is not a game made by Dontnod, it was somebody else. But with that said, with the information that nobody from the first game is going to be in the sequel, it's an all-new story, I think it's going to get a little bit lower for that, so it's going to sit at an 82. And here we go with October. It's jam-packed with games, and leading off the month on October 2nd is Forza Horizon 4, the big Microsoft exclusive for the year. And you know what? Forza Horizon 3 was a 91 on Metacritic. If you look at all the Horizon games, they've gotten higher scores every single year. Forza Horizon 1 was an 85, Forza Horizon 2 was an 86, Forza Horizon 3 was a 91, and I think the trend continues, and you're going to see Forza Horizon 4 sit at a 92 and be kind of crowned like maybe the best reviewed racing game of all time. Who knows? I can't wait to play it. October 5th, you have Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, I was kind of shocked to learn that Assassin's Creed Origins only sits at about an 84 and 83 on Metacritic. I thought people liked it more than that. And honestly, I've seen a lot of people talk about how this one feels like an expansion more than an actual new game, and I think that fatigue will sit in. The fact that they're doing it back-to-back years instead of waiting in between, I think it's going to kind of... people aren't really going to like that. They're going to feel that it's just kind of reused, you know what I mean? So that's why I think Odyssey is going to be even lower than Origins, and I'm expecting a flat 80 for the title. October 12th, we're going to have Call of Duty Black Ops 4. And this one's going to be interesting to predict because it absolutely dropped the single player from the title, and you have to wonder if that will negatively impact the reviews in any way, shape, or form. Now, the last Black Ops game, Black Ops 3, by Treyarch got an 81. I know World War II is a little bit higher, but that's made by Sledgehammer. There's really no correlation there other than they make the Call of Duty games. I actually think, since this Black Ops game only has multiplayer zombies in the Battle Royale mode, and we don't know if Battle Royale is going to be good, and you know by now if you like zombies, and you know by now if you really like the multiplayer, I think it's going to be very divisive, but it's going to rate low. It's going to give it, I'm going to say it's going to get a 74, and I think it gets really trashed by critics for not having a single player, but still charging $60 for it. Moving on to October 19th, we have Soul Calibur 6. Now, Soul Calibur 5 got an 80 when it came out in 2012, and I think Soul Calibur 6 will actually keep the same, can't say Metacritic. I don't really know much about Soul Calibur, to be honest with you. I played the games. I do like playing fighting games. I'm not very good at them, so I'm just going to say it's going to get an 80. And then we also have Battlefield 5 on October 9th. And geez, did you guys know that Battlefield 1 sits at about an 88 on Metacritic, which is extremely high for a Battlefield game, as usually most of those are like low 80s. I feel like with Battlefield 1, people were excited about the move to World War I and actually going to a war that hadn't really been done before. But now we're in World War II, there's this whole women in Battlefield thing they got going on, and I think with the fact that EA seems to be hesitant to showing off any of the campaign, I don't really think people are that excited for Battlefield 5 at all, and I think it's going to hurt them in the Metacritic area, and I think reviewers are gonna be like, oh, it's World War II again, we just did this game, and them pushing their political agendas down our throat, yada yada yada, which is why I'm gonna say it's gonna get an 80, quite down for Battlefield 1. October 26th, we have Red Dead Redemption 2 by Rockstar, gaming's royalty. Now, Red Dead 1 sits at a 95, and the question you have to ask yourself, man, is it going to be higher than Red Dead or lower than Red Dead 1? And I sat here and thought to myself, like, well, it can't get a 96. I said previously during this video that I feel gaming critics are harsher this gen than last gen, so I don't think it's going to be higher at a 96. And I don't even really think it's going to match the 95, but it's going to be extremely high. So I'm going to say 1 point lower at a 94. And you know the gaming media is going to eat this game up. It's not very often we get a brand new Rockstar game. It's basically been 5 years. Even longer if you're a fan of Red Dead. So I expect the game to get a whole bunch of 10s, but not match Red Dead 1 and not exceed it. But I could be wrong. But my prediction is a 94. October 30th, we get Call of Cthulhu by Cyanide and Focus Home. They're the makers of Styx, Shards of Darkness, which are about a 70 Metacritic game. This one actually looks pretty cool. I'm kind of keen to try it out, although the release date sucks, Was it 4 days after Red Dead? What are you thinking? And I'm going to give this game a 76. I think it's going to be better than Six Shards of Darkness and get kind of that mid-range there, 75. Looks like it could be pretty cool. Moving on to November, it's a pretty light month considering every game wanted to launch before Red Dead. We start out with Overkill's The Walking Dead, and their last game was Payday 2, which was trashed on Metacritic, 68 to about a 69. And the CGI trailers look really good, but when you actually watch the gameplay, it doesn't look very good. So I'm going to say a 73 for Overkill's The Walking Dead. November 13th, we have Hitman 2 from IO Interactive and Square Enix. Oh, scratch that, not Square Enix, because they dropped the game. Warner Brothers. Now, once again, this game is Hitman 1 was episodic, and I got an 84. And those games are kind of hard to get a sense for on Metacritic, because normally they kind of just rate the first episode. But since Hitman 2 actually has all the levels in it at launch, all 6 levels, and I think people are more accustomed to the bigger levels that Hitman offer when maybe they weren't with Hitman 1. I actually think this is going to be rated a little bit higher than Hitman 1, so I'm going to give it an 86 on Metacritic. November 14th, we have Fallout 76 from Bethesda, and this is a tough one, because I sat there and I looked at Fallout 4 and I saw it has about an 88 and 87 on Metacritic, but people love it because it's a single-player experience. But Fallout 76 has angered a lot of the traditional Fallout fans because it is an online game. And I honestly expect this game not to work at launch. I don't really expect them to hand out early review codes because of that purpose, and most of the stuff will be review in progress. And when it actually does work for everybody, I think people will be lamenting the fact that it's not as good as Fallout and some of the quests aren't as good and stuff like that. So I actually expect an 81 for Fallout 76. Could be higher, or it could be the same as Fallout 4, but I don't know. I just don't expect that much. I think people are going to be turned off by the online aspect and how it doesn't work or right away. We'll have to wait and see on that. If it works right away, and if it's good, it could be like an 88. But I'm going to go with an 81. Now, November 16th, we have Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I told you I'd talk about everything, and of course, this is a big game coming out this fall for the Nintendo Switch. Probably everyone's going to buy it. I literally know nothing about the Pokemon games. It wasn't my thing, and I'm just going to say it's going to get an 82. If that's too high, then so be it. If it's too low, I guess complain about it in the comment section. I don't know anything about Pokemon. Moving on to November 27th, we have the release of Darksiders 3, a game which I thought we'd never see again. You know, Darksiders 2 was a pretty good game. But the studio went under because THQ went under, and they reformed to make Gunfire. I believe Gunfire is the name of this new studio. Darksiders 1 was a cool game, has an 82 on Metacritic. Darksiders 2 was a cool game, has an 84. I don't think Darksiders 3 is going to be that high, so I'm going to nail it at a 77. Now, moving on to December, we have Just Cause 4 on December 4th. And Just Cause 3 was pretty trash because it ran like crap on consoles and has a 73. And I really don't expect much from Just Cause 4. And honestly, who really even asked for another one of these? Avalanche Studios is making it. They're making Rage 2, and I think people are more hyped for that one. I don't really see any hype for this one. It's probably still going to run like crap on consoles. So I'm going to give it a 72. I think it's going to be just the same as Just Cause 3 with really no improvements. Hopefully I'm wrong though. On December 7th, we have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And I looked, the last game has a 92 on Metacritic. People and the gaming media love Nintendo exclusives as judged by Super Mario Odyssey and Legend of Zelda extremely high. And considering all these Smash Brothers are all above a 90, this one's going to be above a 90 as well. And everything I've seen about it seems like it's the ultimate fan service or the ultimate Smash Brothers game. So I'm going to say it gets a 95. Whew, 95. Higher than Red Dead, Rand? Are you crazy? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, something about Smash Bros. And the way the Nintendo Switch is. People seem they're going to be dying for this game. It's ultimate fan service. The Switch is hotter than, it's like the hottest product right now. I just feel it's gonna get a 95, maybe a 94, but I'm gonna stick to my prediction of a 95 for Smash Brothers Ultimate. Now, you know what? I figured we could end it there, but let's just keep on going and talk about the early releases for next year. On January 25th, we have Resident Evil 2. Now, Resident Evil 2, back in the day, got an 89, so people loved this game. It was Game of the Show at E3 this year. I've loved everything I've seen so far of this title, and I actually think, you know what? Could it do it? Yeah, you know what? It's going to get a 90. I think it's going to get a 90. I think people are going to love Resident Evil 2. Maybe a crazy prediction, but I don't care, whatever. Resident Evil 2 gets a 90. January 29th, we have Kingdom Hearts 3, and Kingdom Hearts fans have been waiting for this moment for a long time. Kingdom Hearts 2 got an 87, but gaming has changed a lot since then. But I still feel like the gaming media has that kind of soft spot for Kingdom Hearts, which is why I'm going to say it's going to get an 88 on Metacritic when it comes out early next year. Now we move on to February, and we have a whole bunch of big games coming out. We're going to start off with Anthem. Now, people have said are like BioWare's Make It or Break It game. Mass Effect Andromeda was bad. Metacritic-wise, it sits at a 70. And it's kind of tough. Like, this is BioWare's first kind of crack at a game like this, or a games as a service. But I think they might actually nail it, which is why I'm going to give a prediction of an 86. February 22nd also sees the release of Crackdown 3 from Microsoft, and oh man, this game has a very negative stigma surrounding it. It's been delayed for 2 years. Nobody really knows what the multiplayer is gonna be like. Nobody really knows how good the single player might be. And Crackdown 2 was a 70, and I know this is a meme going around about how all Xbox games are basically a 68 or a 69 on Metacritic. But I actually think it's going to do better review-wise than State of Decay and Sea of Thieves, so I'm going to say it gets a 72. February 22nd also sees the release of a Sony exclusive, Days Gone by Sony Bend. It's their first game in quite some time, and it's one of the few Sony games actually that I'm not really interested in it yet. Nothing I've seen has really kind of sparked my interest, like God of War and Spider-Man and Detroit Become Human and Last of Us, etc., etc. Days Gone always kind of seemed like the runt of the Sony exclusive litter, so I'm going to say it gets about an 83 on Metacritic. Also on February 22nd, the fourth game, some of these games are getting delayed or moved around. Either way, the Metacritic prediction will hold for these titles. Metro Exodus comes out that day. And if you look at the Metacritic for all the previous ones, you have Metro 2033 really high on PC at a 90. The Redux version is really high, but the original release is really low on Xbox and PS4. The consoles are obviously in better shape now than they were last gen. They can do more. And I actually think this is going to be 4A's breakout hit. It looks amazing. So I'm going to give it an 88. And there's one final game we got to talk about here, the kind of like final big release for early 2019. That is The Division 2 from Ubisoft. And Division 1 got an 80 on Metacritic. People were disappointed in the end game. I actually really enjoyed everything up until the end game. And I think they're going to do this one right. Although I said the same thing about Destiny 1, and look what happened. But I honestly do feel that Division 2 will be a better game than Division 1, so this is why I'm going to stick it with an 85 on Metacritic. Anyways, guys, that is all the big games coming out this fall, as well as some of the early ones next year, to kind of give you a thought of what I think each one of these games is going to land on the Metacritic. Let me know what you think. If you think Spider-Man's going to get a 95, let me know in the comments. If you think Battlefield 5 is going to get a 70, let me know. I love to see everybody's prediction. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it out on Twitter, sub to the channel if you're brand new, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every single time I drop a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Sorry it was a little bit long, but we had a lot to cover. And I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.